It's been a while since I talked about adapting D&D classes to GURPS, so let's tackle one of the obscure classes, the sohei. Depending on the region, they could also be called no-shan, yamabushi, mountain warriors or warrior monks. Basically speaking, the sohei are armed guardians of oriental monasteries and temples. In terms of abilities, they possess a rage-like ability, certain key abilities, and even some divine spellcasting despite poor religious instruction. So they are something between barbarians, monks and paladins. First, let's check the class features, as there aren't many of them. The signature ability of the sohei class is Ki Frenzy. A sohei can enter a frenzied state by focusing his ki, which is usually called chi in GURPS. This imparts a bonus to strength and dexterity, extra speed and flurry of blows, and precludes concentration and skill use. At the end of the frenzy, the sohei becomes fatigued. So this is something between the barbarian rage and the monk flurry of blows. However, there is nothing said about the sohei being forced to attack every turn or anything like that, so it won't actually work like the berserk advantage in GURPS. What do we do then? I suggest we build this ability as something like this. The sohei becomes able to channel his chi to perform supernatural feats of agility. He can spend 1 FP to gain a +2 bonus to basic move for 1 second, or perform an additional attack as per the extra attack advantage with a multi-strike enhancement. That's a pricey ability, but it greatly enhances your combat capabilities. I disregarded the strength bonus, as that can be justified by simply spending FP for the mighty blows extra effort option. You might remember that I believe that the chi power modifier being -10% in GURPS is a mistake, so when making chi abilities I provide two costs, for a standard -10% and for -15% that I believe to be more appropriate. Also, if you want to, you still can take the berserk disadvantage, but I would not advise that. The rest of the abilities are much more simple. Deflect arrows is simply the parry missile weapon skill. Remain conscious is the hard to subdue advantage, possibly coupled with the recovery advantage. Has anyone ever taken recovery? I often forget about its existence. Strength of mind seems like a combination of high pain threshold and immunity to sleep effects. Metal is simply magic resistance with improved. Defensive strike is the defensive attack maneuver that is available to everybody in GURPS. Damage reduction is probably DR 1 or 2 with tough skin and the chi power modifier. The only mechanical thing that is left is spellcasting. In D&D, sohei can cast divine spells spontaneously. The spell list is small and quite similar to the paladin spell list, but with more of a focus on law and order instead of good. But who grants these spells? The 3rd edition Oriental Adventures book says that the sohei receive very little religious instruction, unlike shamans. The AD&D Oriental Adventures book says that the sohei receive very little religious instruction, unlike shugenja. Both of these classes play priestly roles in Oriental Adventures, and it is unclear just what kind of religious teachings do the sohei follow. However, the AD&D book has the following bit. Like shukenja, yes, it was spelled with a K in AD&D. Sohei must live by certain religious principles, although these are much less strict for the sohei character. He must refrain from eating meat, fish is allowed, and from excesses of personal behavior. Because of his duty, he has no injunction against killing or violence, although outright murder is still considered a sin. We know that vow vegetarianism costs -5 points in GURPS, and refraining from excesses of personal behavior is, I don't know, probably a collection of quirks. I suggest combining all these principles into a code of honor disadvantage that costs -10 points. As for the spells and divine abilities themselves, just go with whatever deity or philosophy the sohei temple is devoted to, and use this code of honor for the pact component of the divine power modifier. Divine abilities or spells seem completely optional to me. The sohei already has some chi abilities, and introducing divine abilities will make the character a bit unfocused. For example, you would need 2 different power talents if you wanted to improve all your abilities. In D&D mechanical terms, this is it, but there is some background information that actually is reflected with advantages and disadvantages in GURPS terms, which is nice. First of all, a typical sohei will have the duty disadvantage, and likely fanaticism and or sense of duty to his coreligionists. To compensate for that, he'll probably have his temple as a patron and have a claim to hospitality. Second, a character can join a monastery or temple and become a sohei regardless of his clan, status or caste. Thus, you are unlikely to have such disadvantages as dependence or certain caste-based social stigmas. The sohei's status in the society depends on the status of his temple. To be honest, at first I really didn't want to make this video, as the sohei class seemed pretty lame to me. Now, however, I see that while it was awful in D&D, it is a quite compelling character concept in GURPS. Cultures based on Eastern Asia often have a complex social structure, and hence it might be difficult to make such characters with all the status, rank, social stigma, social regard, etc. Sohei work outside of all this, and coupled with being devoted to a temple and likely having duty and or fanaticism, they become quite straightforward to create and play, and this is a plus in my opinion. On the other hand, the choice of weapon and fighting style can make sohei characters different from one another, and the different chi and divine powers can also spice up your character. So now I actually find this class appealing, which to me once again proves that D&D can make cool concepts lame, and GURPS can make lame concepts cool. So thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.